Welcome back to the Citizen Channel. Hope you're all staying safe. And well, we have a History Boys feature today, and we're going to take you back, or I'm going to take you back to the 11th of March, 1972. If you're a bit too young, well, remember along with us. I was around. I wasn't at this game. It was an away game at Everton at Goodison Park. I didn't quite manage away games for another couple of years yet. I was just still a bit too young in 1972 to be allowed to go on my own. I didn't have any parents to go with or anything like that. So obviously I used to go to the matches with my mates, and it was just a little bit too young and probably didn't have the pocket money, to be honest with you. I probably hadn't started my little paper job by then, which I didn't do for long anyway because I hated it, to be honest with you. So we're going to look at Everton versus Manchester City, 11th of March 1972. Please, if you are new to the channel, push that subscribe button, push the notification. I do everything City, past, present, and forever, of course. And if you want to have a little rest from football, occasionally we do, don't we, when the pressures get to us? Yeah, I do a little film and TV thing as well. I do film reviews, TV drama reviews, and information blogs as well. I'll try and inform and entertain on that as well. So get over there and have a look at that, or point anyone in my direction and put the word out for me, guys. That would be much appreciated. All your thumbs ups, please. Do a pep, give us a thumbs up. That'll be absolutely wonderful if you can do that for me. Yeah, this is a season. I've covered it in the... I do a feature, the history of Manchester City since 1880, and we're actually just completed or just published part 1, and part 2 will be out very soon, of the 71-72 season. So this falls in line with that. And it is a season where City... should have really won our third league title in history, and it didn't quite pan out. It did look like a one-horse race at one point in time, a one-horse race in which City would eventually finish fourth. So it didn't end up too well, unfortunately. City, top of the table after 32 games. I mean, Leeds were behind us. They had a couple of games in hand, but it wasn't cut and dried those days, winning games. You know, you did well to sort of win a game and lose a game. It wasn't like now where, losing a game was the end of the world. So obviously, even though Leeds had a couple of games in hand and City were 4 points ahead, which was 2 points for in those days, it wasn't, it was still a comfortable lead. We had the points in the bank, which were very, very important. And we visited, of course, for Everton, who were 14th place, not having the greatest season. And they were 19 points below City, so that's sort of 10 wins behind, if you like, with only 10 games left. So they were well and truly mid-table. A confident Alisson, Malcolm Alisson was in charge by then. Joe Mercer was classed as the general manager as opposed to the team manager, although there's a lot of quibbles about that, which if you look at my 71-72 history vlog, we'll sort of go into a bit more depth on that one. So a confident Alisson, very confident, confident City fans at the time, led City to Harry Catterick. Harry Catterick was in charge of Everton, and maximum points was a must with 10 games of the season left. Away from football, just before we have a quick look at how the game panned out. March 1972, I was at Parswood High School. That's where I went in high school, attending most of the home games, if not all the home games from memory. As I say, I certainly couldn't afford away games with my mate Chris, big friends from Parswood High, Chris. We went to most of the away games together, which would start a couple of seasons later. Without You by Nielsen. I Can't Live Without You. Yeah, great song, powerful song by Nielsen. Was at its first of 5 weeks as UK number one single. Harvest was the number one album, which I don't remember, but I certainly remember who put it together. A guy called Neil Young. Not the City legend, of course, the other guy that I quite like, the singer Neil Young. So that Harvest was the number one in the album charts. I think that was the only week it stayed at number one. The Carnival cruise liners. I've been on one of their cruises, or I've been on a couple actually over in Miami. The Carnival cruise liner, the very first of their cruise ships, the Mardi Gras, made its maiden voyage from Miami at this time in 1972. Fortunately and embarrassingly, obviously its maiden voyage was like employees and employees' families and stuff like like that, and special VIP guests, and it did run aground. So it didn't have to get off to the greatest start on a sandbar, and it had to be extricated by a number of tugs to get it off this sandbar. So not the greatest start. I mean, I don't think the captain probably did very well, or he probably did, but so it run aground on a sandbar. So it didn't really harm the company too much, because it's still going to this day. Of course, it is Carnival Cruises. You've probably heard of it, big organisation. So it certainly didn't do it any harm. That's for sure. Godfather, yes, the movie Godfather was released and topped the box office charts in 1972, of course. A massive film, and still a massive film to this day, still talked about now. I do a film reviews, and I think it was Empire Magazine recently did a celebration of it, a 50-year, which it is, in 1972. I'm recording this in 2022, a 50-year anniversary. Great, wonderful film, absolutely brilliant. If you stuck a quid under your bed then, it'd be worth it. It would have grown to a massive £14.06 today, so that's not too bad, is it? £14.06. And if you fancied following City around, this is interesting to compare prices. If you look at that £14, a pound worth £14 now. A trip to Newcastle at the end of March 1972 on the Finland's coach would set you back £1.50 as an adult and £1.05 as a child. And that's equivalent, the adult price is £21.09 today. So yeah, you could probably get supporters club coaches for about 28 quid. So yeah, not too bad, I suppose, but obviously outside of the supporters club coaches, I think they're a bit more expensive. Obviously, interestingly enough, obviously, that would probably be classed as petrol tax, wouldn't it? Obviously, we didn't perhaps have as much petrol tax in those days before all the oil and all this sort of thing panned out over the next 40, 50 years. And the train, yeah, if you fancied the train ride down to up to Newcastle, of course, up to Newcastle, it was just £2 from Victoria. Now, that equates to £28.12. All right, it was a football special, but I think it cost a little bit more than that now, won't it, guys? Anyway, back to the match. Yeah, we don't have any big match review preview reports on this one, unfortunately. I've tried to delve back and look at it. Pre-game, City had won 5, drawn 1 and lost 1 of our previous 7 games, and our only defeat had actually come on Merseyside, actually come with a disappointing 3-0 loss at Anfield to Liverpool, who were actually competing with us in the top 4 of the table at the time. Everton, yeah, they'd drawn 3 and lost 2 of the previous 5 games, so not great. The home form was okay. It was away from home they were struggling a little bit. They had no wins, 5 draws and 10 defeats in 15 away games that season, and they'd literally scored a miserly away from home in 15 games at 5 goals. So they weren't doing very well. They needed a striker who could score goals, that's for sure. This compared, all right, wasn't fantastic. They scored 24 at home in 16 games. So, all right, not massive goals, but certainly far better. So, yeah, Everton were there for the taking, surely. We would play, of course, in our legendary red and black stripe kit, which actually got its debut 3 years previously. Again, I've done a little vlog on that, black and red, the debut of the City black and red kit at Goodison Park, 3 seasons previously to this, of course. So we were playing that famous red and black again. And yet, Franny Lee led the goal-scoring charts with a little help from a few penalties that season where he broke the record, of course. But he was on 31 goals. That was pretty good, wasn't it? And, of course, Chivers, Martin Chivers of Spurs was second on 28. And then he had a little bit of a gap then to Peter Lorimer. Was it 90 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour? I can't remember now about Peter Lorimer, the song that Leeds fans used to sing. He was in third on 22, so way behind. But as I say, Franny Leeds was bolstered a little bit by a lot of penalties, of course. The matchday programme, just 7p for the matchday programme, so it's not too bad. 24 pages, though. You weren't exactly covered with information, but that was normal for the time. And a crowd of 44,646 were in attendance for this. Not the highest crowd at Goodison Park that season, probably third or fourth, when you think they played Liverpool and Leeds. I think got higher crowds, probably United as well. The ref, someone I've never heard of, Vincent James. Doesn't ring any bells with me. Vinnie James, Vincent James, no. And the Everton team, yeah, some familiar names and some not so familiar names. Gordon West, obviously, was pretty much their goalkeeper at the time. Terry Darracott, Peter Scott, Tommy Wright, yeah, who would actually score for City in this game, so he did a good job. Mick Lyons, well, he would score as well, but in the right end. Roger Kenyon, Henry Newton, Colin Harvey, Howard Kendall, well, we all know Howard Kendall. Billy Kenny, Bernie Wright, probably not. Really, right. I wonder if they sung that. Probably didn't. Sub was Alan Whittle. I remember Alan Whittle. Yeah. Was he blonde? Was he blonde, Alan Whittle? I don't know. I just have a blonde head in me. I'm probably totally wrong, guys, but there you go. City, of course, well, we had Corrigan in net. Buck, Donaghy, Doyle. Freddie Hill was playing, one of the lesser-known City players of the time, of course. Oakes, Summerby, Bell, Wyn Davis, the mighty Wyn, Franny Lee, of course, and Tony Towers. Yeah, Tony Towers would have his nose put out a joint a little bit after this game. We'll chat briefly on that in a moment. And the sub for City was, another underappreciated guy at the time, Ian Mellor. It went well for City. Yeah, it did go well. It wouldn't be typical City if we didn't make it look a little bit closer than it actually was. We would go in at half time a comfortable 2-0 up. An own goal by Everton player Tommy Wright, we just mentioned that before, from a teasing Bell cross into the box, and he just sort of headed past Gordon West in goal. And after some good work by Franny Lee, who took on 2 or 3 players on the edge of the box, a sort of shot into the box was blocked by the keeper and defenders, but was poked home by the earlier mentioned Freddie Hill, who's obviously, as I said, not one of our better known players. And of course, 2-0 at half time, fairly comfortable, but McLyons would get a goal back for Everton. Almost at full time, just to make it a nervy last few minutes or a couple of minutes of injury time. But it was all a bit too late by then. And of course, that kept City 4 points clear at the top of the table. And yes, as I was saying before about Tony Towers, yeah, City's next game will be a home game against Chelsea the following Saturday, so a week on the Saturday. And we sort of more or less thought we'd confirmed our title by signing one of the most flamboyant, skillful players in the English First Division, or in the First Division, or First Division at the time. Yeah, Rodney Marsh from QPR, of course. I think QPR were in the First Division. If they weren't, I'll put it up on screen. But it would all go wrong, obviously, as stated earlier. Not particularly because of Rodney Marsh. There was other major reasons as well. Of course there was. It wasn't just Rodney. He blames himself quite unfairly, and obviously a lot of City fans probably do as well. But most, if you read between the lines and look at the time, it certainly wasn't Rodney Marsh's fault at the end of the day. But it all went wrong, and of course, as I said, we finished 4th, just a point behind the eventual winners and eventual champions, Derby County. But we finished, obviously, Liverpool, Leeds. We were behind them on a goal difference or goal average at the time, whichever it was. So very disappointing. And more successful, though. Yeah, I mean, the good thing to come out of that, probably that week, the Friday after this game on the 17th of March, the City squad went down to Strawberry Studios in Stockport, of course, to record the legendary Boys in Blue City song, obviously, and Funky City as well, which was the B-side. Have a listen to that on YouTube, guys. Funky City, great song. I did have them, but I did have the record. I did Funky City was not quite as popular for me, but you certainly don't hear it much these days. But there's not many words to it. I think I could have wrote it. I could have wrote the music, but I could have wrote the song. But yeah, so as I said, that was on the Friday, the 17th of March at Strawberry Studios, of course, with Godley and Cream, 10cc guys, wording the we sing it still now, don't we? Still played out on a regular basis. Certainly Mary D's, and even in the stadium as well. So yeah, so it wasn't all bad news that season, was it? Yeah, Everton themselves, they finishing 15th, so they started this game in 14th. They would take 10 points from the last 11 games, which was almost half, wasn't it? Almost okay. And the poor form, though, would continue into the season after as well. And don't forget, Everton were a big team, big club, well supported, some great support. I think they're certainly bigger support than City that season, average crowds. And he would finish 17th the following season, and that would see this lead to the sacking of Harry Catterick, of course, another sort of Everton legend. The following April, after just a handful of games to go, Harry Catterick was on his way, so that sort of saw the end of him the season after. So there you go. Thanks for joining me for this little look back. Let me know your members if you were there. If you were old enough to go to this game. Let me know. Let me know any particular members of this game or the season in general, or City in general. It doesn't matter. Let me know in the comments. It'd be great to hear from you. And thank you for joining me for this History Boys feature, looking back at Everton 1, Manchester City 2 from the 11th of March 1972 in the English First Division, of which that season, well, we nearly did it, guys. We nearly got our 3rd title, but we had to settle for a miserly 4th, and you couldn't even it wasn't even Europe in those days for 4th place, so a bit of a failure, but hey, onwards and upwards. Thanks for watching. Whatever you're going to do rest of the day, have a great one. Catch yourselves, catch your friends, catch your families. More important, let's all look after each other. So we meet here again on the Citizen channel. I only ask one thing, don't I? Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.